everyone, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the books I despised and hated in 2021. So, same format as my favorite books. I'm going to go in order by months. And so, most of these books I don't have. Most of them were library or ebooks, and the two that I got, they're going to be hitting the unhaul bag soon. So, in January, my least favorite was sadly Metro 2033. This is a dystopian novel set in Russia, and it's about people living in the Russian metro on the different stations and the platforms. I wanted to like it because I wanted to play the video game. Didn't happen. So, in February, my least favorite book was The Zookeeper's Wife by Diane Ackerman. I wanted to like this. It's a nonfiction about World War II and a zookeeper and his wife hiding Jews in the animal exhibits. Was not what it sounds like. In March, my least favorite book was Spycatcher by Matthew Dunn. I started the series and I was not going to continue, but I wanted to read the fourth book that I owned, and the fourth book ended up being my favorite. But the first book almost killed that completely. But yes, Spycatcher. It's about a guy in MI6. He is the only dude in this program that's run by MI6 called the Spartan, and yeah, I'll get into my thoughts if it's in my top 5. April, I had my first and only DNF of 2021, and that is The Daughters of Mars by Thomas Kennelly. Thomas Kennelly wrote Schindler's List, which I also didn't enjoy, but I finished it. This book is set in World War I, and it's about two sisters from Australia, and I just could not get into it at all. Okay, in May, I read an ebook called Am Margaret Moore, and I forget who this is by, but while I was reading it, just so confusing, and yeah. In June, I heard bad things about this book, and I was supposed to read it for a blog tour, like when it came out. And I made a vlog about it. I will link it down below. But that is My Summer of Love and Misfortune. And I forget who it's by. And I'm not going to look it up. But I think this is like her only debut, or her book, only fiction book. I know she's got a nonfiction book as well. But this was just a mess. In July, I did not enjoyed The Last Days of New Paris by Chyna Maville. This is the second book by this author that I've read by him. The first book I read was The City in the City, and really enjoyed that because it was a city in a city, obviously. And it was, if you got to cross the street one way so you don't walk into another city, and if you like step wrong and you like accidentally step into the other city from the city you're in, you get arrested. And you can't look a certain way because you're looking into the other city, and that's against the rules. So, but this was about set in during World War II, and it's got the Nazis, and it's just, yeah, and like art and structures and monuments come to life. They have a life of their own. Okay. In August, I have a classic on this list. So, I read The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hated it. In September, I read another nonfiction, and it is the source material for a Netflix show called Marco Polo. And this is Xanadu by Mann. And when I was reading it, I would automatically forget what I was reading because it's non-memorable. The only thing I remember reading about this book is how they measured, and how he put the measurements of each piece of bamboo in a pleasure dome. No. October, was my best reading month. My favorite reading month that had so many good reads. So I don't have a non-favorite. A least favorite. And then November, I have another ebook. I've already talked about this one quite a few times. Chapter 3 did not need to be this fucking long. But it's The Orphan Witch by Paige Crutcher. It's not good. And then December, I also don't have a least favorite because I didn't read that much, in my opinion. I'm going to start with the number one hated book, or least favorite book that I read in 2021. I don't want to be mean, because you may like it, and if you like it, sorry. Not sorry. Let's see, I gotta consult my list about which one was, I know. I don't even have to think about it, because my eyes are just like, that's my least favorite. Okay, so number one on my least favorite, the worst books I read in 2021, My Summer of Love and Misfortune. Let me find the author, because I want to need it. But, this book, it was awful. I should not have read it. I read contemporaries in like 2 days. This took me like a fucking week. Lindsay Wong, that's the author. Okay, so this, and it's got a 2.8 rating on Goodreads. Okay, so this is about a girl named Iris. Iris is just a little fucking dumbass. She's a Chinese American teen. Her parents are doctors, and they live in this gigantic house. And so Iris is just a spoiled little brat who doesn't have to do anything. Her parents think that she is doing well in school. And one day, while her parents are on vacation in Hawaii, Iris is left home by herself because they think that she is responsible enough to take care of herself. This girl ends up throwing a fucking house party. But she's also like, she just saw her boyfriend and her best friend getting it on her bed. And she was like, I just booked us a trip to Paris for your birthday. And her boyfriend's like, my birthday was in January. No, your birthday's in July. And, oh my God. She's so self-centered. She's vapid. I hated her. And so she gets shit-faced, and she gets into a car, and she backs up through the fucking garage door. And so her parents are like, they're angry, but then they don't punish her. And then she gets a call from the school, or email from school, and she thinks that it's them asking her to be valedictorian, even though she hasn't been to any of her classes and that she's failing. That's her senior year of high school. And in her email, her guidance counselor's like, you haven't been to any of your classes, so you're going to have to repeat your senior year. And she's just like, what? Why? I thought you was going to ask me to be valedictorian. I'm like, girl, for real? And so her parents were just like, you screw it. You're going to go stay with an uncle that we know nothing about in China. It only gets worse and worse. But the parents are on my shit list. Iris? No. If she was my kid, no. I have 3 daughters, and just thinking about them acting like her made me have gray hairs. I found gray hairs starting to sprout after I read this book. I'm 31 years old. I have tweens. I should not be having gray hairs. But yes, I ended up giving this book a 2-star. That's being generous. So, right now, I'm going to bump it down to a 1-star. Because, but yes, I started reading this on June 15th. and I finished on June 20th. That's just too long. This book just sucks. The people in the reviews saying that Iris had character growth at the end, no, she was handed a scholarship and she didn't do anything to earn it. That's not character growth. That's like, here you go for your shitty behavior. So the people giving this book 4 or 5 stars, I have no idea what's going on in your head. So, my second book is The Zookeeper's Wife by Diane Ackerman. This is a nonfiction about a zookeeper and his wife. They are curators of this zoo. I think it's in Warsaw, Poland, German. I'm going to have to go back. But, yes. So, they're zookeepers and they have the staff. And they really love the animals. Obviously, they bring the animals into their apartment and, like, take care of them when they're sick, obviously. And then the Nazis come and round up all the Jews. So some of the Jews, the family or friends of the zookeeper and his wife, they go into hiding. And then the Nazis come and take most of the animals for meat, or for the zoo in Berlin. And some of the Jews hide in the exhibits, and they have their own little song, like a piano song, that whenever a Nazi shows up at the gate wanting a tour, that the zookeeper's wife, she will play the song on the piano when he comes up. So that's the, like, signal for the Jews to go into hiding. Okay, so I wanted to like this book. I really did. But I wanted more history. Diane Ackerman had so much potential to tell the true story, but she ended up, like, going off on tangents. Like, there was I forget what he was called. He's a scientist. He likes bugs, and he's Jewish, so he's in the ghetto. And the zookeeper, the husband, he goes into the ghetto daily to talk to this scientist, also to do undercover and, like, secrets and stuff. But the scientist also talks about his bug collection that he really wants to keep safe at the zoo. And so, when this bug collection is mentioned, the author goes into every single detail about every single bug in this collection. Like, color of the wings, span of the wings, length of the body, what the mating is of each bug. I was so fucking bored. And that didn't happen once. It happened multiple times throughout the book with each animal. I didn't want to read a book about the animals and insects. If I want to learn that, I can watch a David Attenborough documentary or go to my local zoo that I have a membership for. I wanted to read more about how the zookeeper and his wife hid the Jews and kept them safe, and how they, like, got them on to the next safe house, into safety, into another country, or whatever. Did any of them get caught? That wasn't in the book at all. So, and I read this to be able to watch the movie with Jessica Chastain. I am still going to watch the movie, but I am like hesitant because I don't want to hear nothing about the animals or the bugs. I don't. So, number 3 on my top 5 list is my DNF, The Daughters of Mars by Thomas Kennelly. So, I don't read much World War I fiction, and I thought this was going to be like a stepping stone. It's not. It makes me even more hesitant to read World War I because it's not written about, I feel. But, I got to page 100. What did I get to? Hold on. I got my Goodreads up, so I think I got to page 40, 120. I forget. I gave it a 1. Yeah, I got to page 127. I started reading it on April 6th, and oh, look, my bookmark is still in here. It took me a month to read this much because this book, the dialogue, it does not have quotation marks. So I had to constantly reread things when it was in conversation. Like, that took me out of the story. And a month reading 127 pages, I forgot what the fuck I was reading. But it's about 2 sisters named Naomi and Sally. They're from Australia, and they joined the war effort as nurses, escaping the confines of their father's farm and carrying a guilty secret with them. They killed their mother because she was sick. They get on a ship, and I know they're on the ship, and they're docked in the Mediterranean, and I'm going to tell y'all as far as I got. And it's just about them spending time with the soldiers and going and looking at the pyramids in Egypt. And then there was a raid or bombing where they had to give up their rooms, or like the soldiers who were wounded were coming onto the ship and they never saw that much blood, but they were taking over and cleaning up, and the surgeon wasn't freaking out, and it was just, I don't know what the hell this was all about. So but the thing is, I want to know what happens. I may find an audiobook for this, because just I'm upset that I had to DNF this, because the map, it makes me intrigued. I am still, like, I want to read more World War I fiction, but I did not care about the sisters and their relationships with the soldiers, and how one sister, her sweetheart, ended up giving her his watch, and he dies the next day, and she's like, oh, I don't know how I feel about him and giving me his watch, but I'm going to keep it because I don't want to tarnish his memory, but I don't like him. I don't feel that way about him, but he's dead, so I'm going to keep his watch just as like a little thank you, but no thank you. I don't know. I may find an audiobook for this. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but this was my only DNF of 2021. I could not spend another freaking minute, but I don't know. I don't know. And I also have another book by this author called Napoleon's Last Island. And I'm scared that that's not going to have dialogue. And also, in the beginning, he has an author's note saying that, of course, the grammar in this book is from letters from actual nurses, and that the dashes are used for commas. He doesn't say anything about quotation marks and the like omittance of them. I don't know how to feel about this one. I ended up giving it one. I really this book, it got on my nerves. Okay, number 4 on this list is I Am Margaret Moore by Hannah Cappin, and this is about a girl named Margaret and 3 other girls, and they go to this military summer camp every year. It starts when they're 11 and it goes all the way up till 18, 19. And yeah, so this book didn't have a good formatting because it goes back and forth between different summers. Like, for example, it'll talk about 2018, and then in the next little bit, it'll be 2020, and then like a paragraph later, it'll be talking about 2015 summer. It was not formatted well. It was very confusing, and I have a feeling that if I would have read this physically, then I would have understood it a little bit more, but as an ebook copy, it was just, no, not good. The first half, it was confusing with all the constant jumping in between the summers. And since it was a military summer camp, it was like Navy. The naval terminology, it was just, it's a tad too much. I didn't like it. I spent 3 years in high school JROTC, and that was enough for me. And also having friends and family members in the military, yeah, I was not expecting it. It was hard to keep straight because I know Army military slang and terms, but when it got to the naval, I wanted to think Army, and I kept thinking Army. But anyways, the second half of the book, everything starts coming together, and then the reveal of what happens to Margaret Moore is like halfway between the second half. And then the last half of the book, it's unnecessary. It just keeps on and on and on. It's like a revenge and a vendetta against the person who wronged her, and against the girls that were not in her bunkhouse, but wanting the girls in her bunkhouse all these summers, wanting them to tell her story, and the girls in her bunkhouse not being able to say anything because money is power. And this book also had one of my favorite quotes, and I want to say it. It says, "I believe in monsters with wide smiles, beautiful and bright, that live in grand old Victorians, that push girls into the mud, that take our voices and tell us what we are." And so, I'm not going to say what happens to the girl, but because that's the whole book. It will give away the ending about what happens to her. Like, the whole time you got to figure out what is Margaret Moore's issue. And yeah, it became repetitive. And after the reveal, the story should have ended. So I ended up giving this a 2. And just, I wanted to like it. It was one of my anticipated reads of 2021, and I just did not like it. And that was the case with most of my anticipated books of 2021 that I did not like. I mean, if it had dates on the chapter headings, that would have been perfect. But no. Okay, so the last book on my least favorites is The Last Days of New Paris by Chyna Mayville. And also, look how short it is. I'm about to tell y'all how long it took me to read this. When I find it. This took me a week to read. I read this for the Buzzword Readathon. And I got this from Dollar Tree for $1. So, this is set in dual timelines. It's set in 1941, during World War II, and 1950, when the Nazis are still in power. So, we're following this guy in 1941. He is on the run and trying to... You know what? I don't even remember. I just know that it's about artwork and structures that have come to life. Okay, you see the Eiffel Tower? Do you see the bottom? Because the bottom doesn't exist anymore. It is suspended in air. It's floating. the Arc de Triomphe in Paris has come to life. Like, statues around the city have come to life and are killing humans. The resistance also killing the Nazis. The Nazis are killing the humans in the artwork, and the resistance is killing Nazis. Or no, see, I'm confused. Okay, so the artwork is killing Nazis and resistance. The Nazis are killing artwork and resistance. The resistance is killing artwork and Nazis. And then we meet this American woman who has come to Paris to take pictures of the artwork because New Paris is the only place that it's happening, and she wants to tell the story of how it came to be. And then it's got a clone of Hitler. It's just, it's not good at all. And it's talking about bombs. It's, yeah, not good. And I didn't write any notes, probably because I was confused as fuck, like I am now. But yeah, all these least favorite books I gave 2 stars, and now I'm bumping it down to 1 star because honestly, the ending with the reveal of who the main villain is was not surprising. Well, it was surprising, but it shouldn't have been surprising because it didn't mention him through the whole book until the very end. And then also, the ending has like a story that makes you think it's real, but it's obviously not because artwork hasn't come to life. But it makes it seem like it's a true story being told. I actually looked up to see if this guy was real, and I don't remember if he is or not. So yeah, not good. That is it for my least and worst favorite books of 2021. I read 136 books last year, and not all of them were great, but these are by far the freaking worst. This didn't make the list. I mean, it did make the list, but it's not in my top 5 because I am going to pick up the sequel. I am going to buy the sequel because I want to see. Should I? I don't know. And I'm still interested in a video game. But yes, if you like this video, don't like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and yeah. Honestly, when I read books I don't like, I go into tangents and rants in my wrap-ups. Far better than these end of the year or beginning of the year books, videos. But yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.